All right, as we look back on 4 years of NewsOne now, time for one of my classic clapbacks. In August, Paula White and Jim Baker had the nerve to call Donald Trump a man of God who is under siege from evil forces. You know, I had to respond. Oh, let me address you, Pastor Paula White. I'm going to take you to 1 Samuel 10, verse 17, when Samuel called the people and said, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought Israel up out of Egypt. I delivered you from the power of Egypt and all the kingdoms that oppressed you. But you have now rejected your God who saves you out of all your disasters and calamities. And you have said, no, appoint a king over us. So now present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and clans." See, that's when the prophet Samuel then anointed Saul, because the people wanted a king. Here's what we know, Pastor Paula White. The people of America rejected God. They rejected a godly man. You had the audacity to say, how can anybody withstand what Donald Trump has gone through? How about 8 years what President Barack Obama went through, when the same person who you praise questioned his Christianity, questioned his faith, dared present the birther movement as somehow he was not a full American? That was an outright lie, but you stood with that man, the same man who said he grabbed women by the vagina, the same man who said he would force himself upon women to kiss them when he wanted to, the same man who chastised Senator John McCain, who was a POW, the same man who chastised Mexicans, calling them rapists and calling them criminals, the same man who is not shown at all how to act like, sound like, or be a Christian. Oh, how dare you say that, when the same man you praise and say to pray for said he has seen no reason in his life where he should somehow ask for forgiveness, when we know doggone well the moment of being a Christian is when you have to ask for forgiveness. You have to ask for grace. See, it was Dietrich Bonhoeffer, the German theologian, Pastor Paula White, who called this cheap grace, as when people commit sin, ask for God's forgiveness, and then go out and do it again. Here's the reality, Pastor Paula White. We are going to pray for this president, because we have evil in the White House. We have somebody who wants to attack people of color, somebody who wants to attack the poor, somebody who wants to attack Muslims, who wants to break up families. You dare say nobody else has come under this kind of attack? Oh, please explain to me why so many conservative white evangelicals like yourself have been quiet. Tell me why y'all excuse his comments about Charlottesville, where he essentially aligned himself with neo-Nazis and white supremacists. You pastor a church in Orlando, Florida, that Zachary Timms used to pastor, but before he died, as largely an African-American church. I want you to stand in front of them and tell them why in the world they must stand in support with Donald Trump when he is trying to take away their right to vote, when he has a sham voter fraud panel. You tell me how that is Christian. You tell me what is Christian about trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, where people who are sick, disenfranchised, will be thrown off and not have health care. Please show me in your Bible where that's somehow a Christian principle. I dare say this, Pastor Paula White, you are supposed to be a prophet, P-R-O-P-H-E-T, not P-R-O-F-I-T. God calls for the prophetic to stand up, to question people in power, to challenge them. Because let me remind you, it was the prophet Samuel who went to Saul and told him he was doing wrong, who said that you have went against the commandments of God. Let me remind you, Pastor Paula White, it was the prophet Nathan who went to David and said, you sinned against God by laying with Bathsheba. What we need, Pastor Paula White, are not people who wave their Bible trying to get conservative Supreme Court justices. What we need are people who are going to actually follow that Bible. I suggest you call Reverend Dr. William Barber to have a conversation about what it means to actually be a prophetic voice in the 21st century. I suggest you go read Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail, where he was talking to folks just like you who were saying black folks are pushing too much. And I dare say you use a prophetic voice to look Donald Trump in the eye and say it's time for you to stop acting like a grown child and to act like a man, to respect the office of the presidency. What I expect, Pastor Paula White, somebody who has been raised up, who has been built up by virtue of talking and preaching in black churches, to have an understanding of what black folks are going through. So you want us to pray for the president? Oh, we're going to pray for the president. We're going to pray for the country, because the country asked for a king. The country turned their back on God, and now God said, I'm going to give the desires of your heart, which always ain't good. Pastor Paula White, we got a word for you, and that is be a prophetic voice and don't just be a profitable voice. All right, y'all. So you see my Shelly. go to my iPad. This is what the back of my shirt says. Hashtag bring the funk. Greg Carr, you were here that day.
Brother, we needed an organ in here. that was some C.L. Franklin stuff right there, brother. When the great sir, and people ask me all the time, is Roland reading from a paper?
No, he's just riffing.
Them Bible verses is in his head.
That was on top of my head.
Look, man, Stanley says...
It was amazing, but I'm gonna tell you, what kept going through my mind was, it's good that he's educating the audience, but Paula White don't care.
No, but here's the deal, though. No. Trust me. Paula White got wind of that commentary.
I'm sure she did.
No, and Paula White emailed me.
Did she?
She was out of the country, and she said my stuff was taken out of the context. We got to talk when we get back. And I emailed her back, and I said, let me know anytime. And then I hit her back about a month ago saying, when are you? After the Washington Post did that big story on her saying how she's in D.C. every week, I said, oh, please let me know when we're going to sit down and talk. And she said, I'll be giving you a call. It has not happened. Oh, but trust me, it got her attention.
Well,
listen, I'm not surprised.
Okay, let me just say this. Of course, are you kidding? Of course it got her attention. It's too powerful not to get her. It got the birds' attention. My point is that she don't care. And that's why you haven't heard from her.
Well, actually, she does care, because she has already been in some serious hot water for offending African Americans and people of color. And that video, I know, went viral.
They've lost members, they've lost ties.
And she has a huge constituency, right? I mean, so listen, before her last incident, I was a patron of Paula White. So no, she does care, and I'm sure she's gonna follow up with you. But aside from that,
she does.
I need my prayer cloth.
Girl, you silly.
Okay, because listen, you were preaching.
Well, I just had a couple things to say. Just a couple things to say.
Appreciate the good
like
word.
I say, I was a little hot. And Greg is right. I don't write these commentaries, y'all. So if I see something, it's kind of like, give me a few minutes.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no.
That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.